In this short clip we're looking at real long division, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 3 examples with you, and then we'll look at some maybe some other shortcuts that we can do when we're faced with dividing by some larger numbers. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and work this one through first of all. So let's lay it out and I'll show you how I would work this through. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set it out. I'm going to be dividing by 11, so it's the 11 that would appear outside the division sign that we're doing here. I'll go and put the number that I'm going to be splitting up into the middle, so I've got 2, 6, 0, 1, 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and work out the answer to this one. Right, so let's go ahead and try to do this one. Okay, so 11 into 2, well, that doesn't go, there's no 11s into 2, so how many 11s then go into 26? So I can get 2 11s into 26, and that would make 2 times 11 is going to give me 22, okay? So in long division what I'm doing is I'm writing down some of the things that I would normally do inside my head, but for this one here it's going to make it a lot easier when I just lay it out in this way. First question that I'm using, dividing by 11, it's an easy number to think about, and it's an easy one to think about the times table, so it kind of helps us to show the example using that one there. So all I'm going to do next is I'm going to subtract 22 from 26, which should leave me with 4. And normally that 4 we would be carrying in here, but instead of cluttering it all up, what I'm doing is I'm doing some working down here that makes it a bit easier for me to see what I'm trying to work on. Other options I would have would be to write down the 11 times table if I wished. So I could go for 11, then it's going to be 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, and I could go on a bit further if I needed to, but I'm going to leave it at that and just see if that's enough for me. If I need any more, I'm just going to add them on at the end here. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I've got 4 as a remainder that's carrying to there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that 0 down to here. So that number there is now 40. How many 11s go into 40? So I can look on here, it must be this one, so that's 3 times. And 3 times 11 is 33, so I'll put in 33 here. What I'll do is I'll just subtract the 33 from 40, that should give me 7. Okay, and that would be the remainder that would usually be carried across. That would be into here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that 1 down, so that gives me 71. And what I'll do from there is I'll then divide 71 by 11. So it's going to be this one here, that's just below 71, that's going to be 6 times, and 6 times 11 is 66. If I subtract that, I should get 5 left, so that would be a 5 that I would normally carry into there. So from there, I'm going to finish this question by bringing the 5 down. How many 11s go into 55? Well, that's a nice neat one for me, that's 5 times. I know it goes 5 times 11 is 55, and I don't have a remainder when I subtract that. So my final answer is going to be 2,365. Okay, so you can freeze the video and try the next question, or you can follow on and see how we work this one through. So I'm going to use another number that's kind of reasonably easy to work out its times table. So we've got 22 that's there. So if I wished, and I was going to do this right away, I could write down the times table. So that would be 22, it would be 44, 66, 88, and then when I add 22 onto 88, that will take me up to 110. After 110, I've got 132, after 132, 154, and then I've got 176. And that will probably do me for what I'm needing to do for this question here. Right, so I can use this as a reference point to work this out. I know there are different ways to work out dividing by 22, and I'll show you that at the end. Here we go, we're just going to do long division with this one. So 22, and I'm going to divide that into 119,372. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be working out 22 into 1. Well, that goes 0. I can put a 0 up if I want into there. 22 now into 11, that would go 0. The one I'm working with first of all is 22 divided into 119. So if I think about 119, it's going to be this one here that I'm going to use, because that's just below 119, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be a 5 that's going to appear up there above the 9, because that's 119. 5 times it's 110. Okay, 5 times 22, 110. And then just subtract that, that should bring me a 9 down to there. What I'll then do is I'll go to the 3, bring the 3 down, so that'll be a 3 that goes here. How many 22s go into 93? So for 93 I'm going to be using that number there, so it's going to be 88. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 times, or 4 times that will give me 88. Subtract that away there, and what we should be left with is going to be, so we'll just get 5 left there, isn't it? 5 left. Next thing, I'm going to move on to the next number that's here, and we'll go forward and bring it down. So I'll bring down that 7. 7 comes down to here, so I've now got 57. I'm dividing by 22. So 57 divided by 22, I'll be using this number. That's just below 57. 44 is the one I'm going to use, and that was 2 times or twice. That's going to be 44. Subtract that away, so I've got 3 here and I've got 1 there. So I've now got 13 as a remainder. Right, so I'm then going to bring down the 2 from here down to there. If I bring that 2 down, that gives me 132, and I'm going to divide that by 22. Luckily, that's one that's on the times table. 132, so that's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll put a 6 in there. 132, that leaves me with a remainder of 0. Okay, so that's the second question. Right, so I'll come back to that, but what I would like you to do is to maybe even try this one. So quite a challenge, but I'll help you out in just a couple of seconds. Right, so first thing I could do is to write down the times table. Okay, I don't know off the top of my head, but I could just add up to try to get the times table. So I'll go for 102 would be 1 times it, 2 times it would be 204, 306. Again, easy numbers to work with just now. But this is the same method that you would just follow. I'm just going to add 102 onto that, that'll give me 510. Add it again, that'll give me 612. Add again, 714. Another one, go for 816. Okay, so that's me got part of the times table of 102. Right, so I know that again, there's easier ways to divide by 102, but I'm just trying to show you the method for long division just now. Right, let's write down the question. I've got dividing by 102, so I'm going to have 102 outside here. Divide that into 3, 4, 8, 8, 4, and we'll just start by looking at that. First thing, 102 into 3 goes 0, 102 into 34 goes 0, 102 into 3, 4, 8, well that would work for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this number here, so that's going to be 3 that I've got. So that's going to be a 3 above there, and it's going 306, because 3 times 102 is 306. Subtract that. So once I subtract that, I've got 2 here, I've got 4 there, and 0 there. So I've got 42 as a remainder. So that 42 would be kind of carried over into here, but all I'm doing is I'm working down the way to make it a bit simpler to work with. I'm going to bring that 8 down the way to here. So what I've got now is 428 divided by 102. 428, well, it's going to be this one here. So it's going to be 408. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times into there. And what I'll do is I'll just subtract there. So that's going to give me a 0. that'll give me 2, and I've got nothing at that side there. What I'll do for the final part, I'll bring down the 4. So there's the 4 coming down. So the 4 goes to here. So I've got 204 divided by 102. I've already done the times table over here, so I'm just going to use that one. It's going to be a 2. It's going to be 204, and when I subtract that, I've got 0 as a remainder, so I don't need to then add on a decimal to work forward from there. And that would be my final answer, 342. Right, let's look at a couple of maybe shortcuts that you can use if you're faced with some questions of dividing by a long division. So if we're dividing by 12 in this question here, I can look at 12 and I could split 12 up into some different numbers. So I could split it up into 2, I could split it up into 2 and 6, or I could split it up into 3 and 4. So why don't I just split it up into 2 and 6, and we can do a division for that. So my question now becomes 276 divided by 2 and divided by 6. So when we're doing it in this method, these two numbers must multiply together to get the 12. So first of all, I'm going to divide this by 2. Okay. So if I do that first of all, 2 into 2, 7, 6. We'll go once. I'll go 3 times. Carry 1 over to there. 2 into 16 will give 8. So I've got 138, and what we'll do is I'll still divide that by 6. So let's try that. 6 into 138 goes 0. So I'll carry that to there. That's going to be 2. Carry 1 to there. That's 3. So my answer would be 23. So if I divided it by 12, I would get 23. If I divided it by 2 and then divided that answer by 6, I would also get 23. Could also have used 3 times 4, because 3 and 4 would multiply together to get 12. So I could divide that by 3 and then divide the answer by 4, and I would get 23 as my final answer. Let's look at this question here. Okay. Can you try and split it up into 2 numbers and then work it through from there? So freeze the video, go for it. Okay, here's the answer for it. Right, what we've got is we've got 288 divided by 18. So I could do it as long division and just work it through from there. Or what I could do is I could split that number there into, how about just doing it divided by 2 and divided by 9. I could have used 3 and 6, but I'll go for 2 and 9. That should be quite easy for me, because 2 into that number will be 144. Okay, if I just divide that, or I can lay it out like I did over here, and then I'll divide that by 9. So for that there, it's not as easy, but what I'll do is I'll just do a piece of working for it. 9 into 1, 0, 9 into 14, that's going to give me 1s. What I'll do is I'll carry 5 over. And 9 into 54 will give me 6. So my final answer is 16. Okay, so there are a couple of tips that we could have used for dividing without using long multiplication, but sometimes if we're dividing by a prime number, unfortunately we do have to do a long division type division sum there. If I look back at the questions that I've got here, so question 3, we were dividing by 102. So I know that 102 it's an even number, so I know that what we could use is we could use 2 and divide that out. That should give me 51. So I could do 2 and then I could divide by 51 if 51 was an easier number to use. Or what I could do is I could split 51 into 2 different numbers. I could do that 3, and that would be 17. So what I could do, instead of working out that number divided by 102, I would have 34,884 divided by 2, first of all, get an answer, divide by 3, get an answer, divide it by 17. So there's another option that we could use, because these numbers all multiply together to get us up to 102. And just finally, if I look back at question 2, dividing by 22, I could have instead divided by 2 and divided by 11, which might have made it easier for me to do. Okay, so that's some tips on long division. There's some shortcuts when you get some numbers that are kind of easily divisible by some other kind of numbers that are easier to work with. But hopefully this has helped you out with long division.